will perfect them. We cannot have a government that is not prepared to lose money on good ideas. It must be prepared to lose money. But when government lose money on good ideas, that is called corruption. But when it loses money on staying off, it's not corruption. It's mismanagement, bad judgment, and all those types of nice concepts. So, we are not sure that there is an institutionalized racism against black business. We are not sure that when they went to take CIC, their target was for black business. Their target of those commissions was black business. All the deals done with black business, they were investigated thoroughly to try and find something wrong. That's how our economy is. They cannot absorb an emergence of an alternative media platform. The media platform must be owned by those who were funded by apartheid government. And it must remain like that even in a democratic South Africa. George Soros is buying things here in South Africa. When you go to Mail and Guardians, you find some individual shareholders and NGOs and all that. When you profile who is financing these people, it's one man. Why can't we finance our own from government to buy Mail and Guardian? So we know this person, it's a media person, is known for that in South Africa. We know this is a business person. We know this is an entrepreneur. Not some unidentifiable faces who are told these are the shareholders of a strategic newspaper in South Africa. We have a government that doesn't take interest in ensuring that the ownership of the media is transformed and is funded from a government point of view, not with an intention to micromanage it, but with an intention to diversify the media ownership in South Africa. We cannot be manipulated by the same people who were funded by apartheid to establish their own media houses. So this government has never established a new city. This government has never established any new credible media house of their own, that they will be proud that this media house represents the new values of our democracy. Well, my Swahili is still at the same level it was, because there is no platform in South Africa to explore that. But we will say, let there be some common language in Africa. That should be the beginning. Because the first thing that we need to do is to communicate with one another with ease. With ease as a continent. Look at how AU meeting collapsed last time. Until the morning, 3 o'clock, they were arguing about interpretation, that other languages must come, that the document cannot only be in English, they need the other one in French, the other one in Spanish. We argue amongst ourselves in the continent about languages of other people. All we're saying is, we want, if it's not Swahili, let there be any other alternative language that we can all speak. If it's Zulu, let it be Zulu. I don't understand why in South Africa we don't have the similar thing. Why can't we all speak Zulu or any other big language, which is something that, by the way, Afrikaners tried to do by imposing Afrikaans on all of us. Let us not impose anything on anyone, because once you impose, you shock people, and once you shock them, they will react. But let's start a conversation as South Africans about at least knowing one common language. We don't have to lose our languages and our cultures, so that we communicate with ease. Why are our Indian brothers and white sisters and colored sisters, to a particular extent, not knowing African languages. You stay in Durban. The most spoken language in Durban is Zulu. You are Indian, you are white, you don't know the language. Why? We need, and when you say that, hey, you see, he started, he's a racist. Because no one must say these things. Can't you just sit down on your own and ask yourself, why am I not knowing this language with so many people? I stayed in Cuba for a month. Already, I was beginning to grasp some Spanish. Because I had interest to want to understand. I was beginning to ask her, when you want to say, I like this one. How do you say it in Spanish? So you are staying with us in our country, you can't even say Nyautan. You can't say that. You must be ashamed of yourself. So that's where our view comes from when we say Swahili. Let's find a common language as Africa so that we communicate with ease and do not use the languages of colonizers to divide ourselves or to communicate amongst ourselves. Chapter 9 institutions are derived their existence from the Constitution. They must be protected. You know, my brother, and you'll all come to realize this. Pravin has been fighting his opponents from the 80s. It doesn't start now. The strategy is the same. He uses the media. He leaks information about you in the media and destroys you. They did that in the UDF times to destroy those they didn't like. In the new era is SARS, then is the media. Then later the Hawks, but they don't win with the Hawks because the media and SARS don't use the same standard as criminal procedure beyond reasonable doubt. In the media, they just create doubt about you. They don't have to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And they finish you like that. He did that with me. He's doing that with a public protector. I'm not saying I didn't owe SARS. I was young and naive. I didn't know how those things are dealt with. Instead of SARS teaching me how to be compliant, they went for a kill. SARS has got an obligation to first help a taxpayer to comply. That's the first mandate of SARS. It's not to go for a kill. So, especially we who come from African families, especially we who never had parents who were in the tax-paying bracket, the concept of tax was foreign to us. We had to learn it ourselves. No one taught us that, not even in our schools. They never taught us text. Instead of saying, this is a young man who's young and naive, let's help him to comply. He comes and destroys him. They do that now with public protector. But go to anyone who has disagreed with Pravin and ask them if they've never received an assessment from SARS. You disagree with Pravin, you're guaranteed an assessment will come from SARS. There is this nonsense that gets to be said all the time. We talk about Pravin, that no, Pravin knows a lot about them, that's why they don't want him. Why can't Pravin just release what he knows about us and finish us all? He doesn't have anything. We've been on his case now for a very long time. If he had anything, he would have released it. They went to VBS. When they arrived in VBS, they found Shibambo's surname. They said, yes, this is where we found it. You know what they did? They went to ANC politicians who were banking with VBS and asked them to settle their debt with VBS or ask another bank to buy their debt. There were ministers who had their houses financed by VBS. There were ANC Youth League leaders who had their luxury vehicles financed by VBS. When their names were found in the VBS, they were told, shift your debt into other banks because we have found the target. And then they found the wrong target because we are not there. Now they see, when we disagree with Pravin, hey, those VBS people must arrest. Let them arrest. They must arrest. They will arrest their own people. There is no EFF person who's going to be arrested. Floyd Shivambo's brother had a loan with VBS. He paid it. It's done. He paid it. It was a bank. It gave him a loan. He's paid. What more do you want? Do people get arrested for having loans which are paid? Again, they are missing a target. These schools. They are going to eat their own. When they say municipalities must purchase energy from IPPs, that's corruption. You must see what's going to happen. IPPs are going to sell energy to municipalities with abnormal amounts because those IPPs are owned by serious brothers-in-law. And municipalities are going to be forced to sign purchase agreements with IPPs by ANC politicians the same way municipalities were forced to bank with VBS. They are going to be forced to buy electricity. Why? These municipalities are in villages, are in remote areas. You won't see those things. They won't come to light. You will never hear of that corruption. That's where they are going to exploit our people. IPPs are extremely expensive. We need to defend ESCOM. We need to build well-capacitated ESCOM. Alternative energy must still come from ESCOM. ESCOM was not destroyed by ESCOM. It was destroyed by the ANC politicians. And they come around and say, this thing is not working. You made it not work. You made it not work so that you can bring your cousins and brothers-in-law to provide IPPs. We are going to be in a big debt in the municipalities with IPPs. I tell you now, that announcement yesterday was an announcement of corruption. His brothers-in-law have invested in all the IPPs that have got signed agreements with ESCOM. So you can be guaranteed a floodgate of corruption has been opened in the energy sector in the name of IPPs. Municipalities buying directly from IPPs.
Thank you very much, colleagues and friends, for your comments and questions to the leader of the EFF. I'm going to take the last two and then close. I'll invite Manda to the podium to come and give his salutations. When you were speaking about spending a month in Cuba, Mr. Malema, I thought to myself, so he also spent time in Cuba.
Interesting. I was not seeing.
So it's very interesting. And a few days before your National People's Assembly, I engaged you in an interview where you said to me, if you remember, that you are not convinced that former President Jacob Zuma must go to prison. You are not convinced that there is a case to be answered for, so far as the arms deal is concerned. I want you to engage me and this audience on that. Do you still think Zuma or not has got a case to be to answer? Do you still think the arms deal did exist? And was that courtroom in Pietermaritzburg fair to the former president?
Well, I never said I'm not convinced. All I said is that if Zuma, there are charges against him, he must go to court and answer those charges. But I said that a jail time for an old person like that is not advisable. What type of society
he needs to go to prison?
What type of society have we become to jail such old people? But it's for the court to decide. So Zuma must go to court. Zuma must answer his allegations, and the court must decide. But in taking its decision, his age must be taken into consideration. I don't think that, because the purpose of jail is correctional. That's why it's called correctional service. So we correct you and send you back to society. So what are we going to correct with Zuma, because he's an old man? So we don't have jails, we've got correctional service centers. So we're just going to waste money. You can find him guilty and find alternative way of punishing him without subjecting him to those things. I saw people wearing orange overalls here. and they say people in Cape Town before, they say people must go to jail and all that, but they don't say that about a man who called for action against the workers of Marikana. Because Cyril is given, some unjustifiable task. If there is a person who must go to jail, it's Cyril, it's Susan Shabangu, it's Natin Teto, and Pierre. Those are the people who must go to jail for having killed our people. Daylight, till today, no one has called a rally here and say people must wear orange overalls, because it was black life that was lost. So we must be consistent. If orange overall is going to suit Zuma, it must suit Cyril, Susan, Pierre, and Natin Teto. So really, it's uncalled for what we saw here. I don't understand why the judge arrives at the decision she arrived at of issuing a warrant of arrest against Zuma when there was a medical certificate. Because the judge should have called the doctor to come and explain the medical certificate. What those lawyers were doing there, it was beyond them. A lawyer presents a medical certificate and keeps quiet. They are going to ask you for practice numbers. You are going to look for practice number at the back of that thing because you don't know where practice number are put on medical certificates. She should have asked the Zuma's legal team to lead evidence and call witnesses on that medical certificate. And it is through that interrogation of witnesses and leading of evidence that will be able to establish if the medical certificate is fake or not. We're not going to operate like that. Otherwise, we're going to be arrested, all of us. You're going to be arrested from your bed, or hospital bed. Because once a person puts a certificate there, they say, no. Why is it pink? Because doctors use white paper. Why? This is not right. And then lawyers argue about medical certificates which they know nothing about. It's not a job of lawyers to argue about medical certificates. A doctor in patient was supposed to be called in court to lead evidence on that medical certificate. We are creating a wrong precedent because it's happening to a man we don't like. We question the credibility of the military. We question the credibility of our medical practitioners because we don't like the man. I don't care whether Zuma goes to jail or not, it's none of my business. But let's follow proper procedure. Why was the doctor not called? Why was the doctor not allowed or Zuma be told to lead evidence according to the medical certificate presented there? So we're not going to really work like this where another person who's not a doctor stand up to say this medical certificate doesn't look real. And then we accept that. We can't. We're told there is a doctor who attached his signature there. Where is this doctor to come and explain if indeed this is real? So whether Zuma is sick or not, it's not my duty to prove that, it's the duty of the lawyers to prove that. It's not the duty of the doctors to prove that. It's not the duty of lawyers to do that. Lawyers just present the certificate and sit back, and if there is a doubt, let the medical practitioners be called to be questioned on the credibility of that medical certificate. So we shouldn't, because if we're going to treat Zuma like that, we're going to mobilize people for Zuma. We're going to make him a victim.
You, the EFI?
No, South Africans. Yeah, because those courts are they are us. They act on our behalf. So if we're going to treat him like, I said even from the beginning, that how we act, we shouldn't make our people even miss Zuma. And start making remarks like when Zuma was there, things were much better like we see now. Someone tweeted something very painful and said, those criminals who left crime to go and do tenders and all that. Since Zuma left, they went back to do crime because there are no opportunities for them anymore. So we must not create an environment where Zuma is going to be worshipped because of how we treat him. My brother, fellow South Africans, it doesn't matter how much you hate a person. Always listen to the facts and follow the law. If we stick to the Constitution and the facts, we'll never have a problem in this country. But if we're going to have favorites that are above the law and others are subjected to the law, then we're going to remain in a state of paralysis forever.
Curtains down, Mr. Malema. Yes or no, as we close, if President Ramaphosa invited you to be the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, would you take him up on the offer?
I want to be a principal, not deputy principal.
Mr. Malema, thank you for this insightful time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your conversation. CIC, please be seated. Manda will do the salutations of today. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a good audience. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for engaging with our guest speaker. And also thank you so much to you, Mr. Mahlangu, for being here with us. Mr. Malema, I've got a nice token of appreciation to say thank you to you. It's coming from the Press Club South Africa. I will hand it over to you now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll hand over this.
I'll declare it in Parliament.